Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start by thanking Susana and Marcelo for the invitation of being here. Rodrigo! Hi. Sorry.
It's recorded.
I know. Oh, it's being recorded? Oh, we'll edit that. So I'm really happy to be here among friends. And so we're not going to have a lecture, because I'm not... but we're going to have a talk. That's what we're going to do. I study a little bit the subject to present here. I'm not a master or professor of this subject. I'm just a apprentice. I'm learning like you. So I'm going to share the information I've gathered, and we'll work together. Okay? So Andrea gave me this subject to talk about. Without charity, there's no salvation. And we find this subject in many parts of the Spirit's book. We find it in the Gospel, chapter 15 of the Gospel. And the Spirits, they explain the difference, because at the time, it was this big slogan of the church. The motto of the church was, without the church, there was no salvation. And the Spirits, to clarify that, and they explained that it's not about the church, it's not about dividing, it's about uniting. And they came up with another slogan. It should be, without charity, there's no salvation. So, but we are going to understand, when we say charity, what does it come to mind when I say the word charity? What do you guys think?
Giving money.
Giving money, yes. What else? Doing what? Volunteer work, right? But charity is so much more than that, and we're going to explain what charity is. So, the Spirits, they explain to us also what charity is. It's not about giving money, because that's so easy, right? Just give here $5. Well, it's like $5, go away. I don't want to see you, just you're in my way. So, right? Or it's so much more than the outer actions. Is what? Charity comes from where? From the inside. And the Spirits, they tell us, is benevolence, indulgence, forgiveness. What is benevolence? What is it?
Kindness.
Kindness is the willingness of doing what? Good. Just once? No. All the time. What is being indulgent is? To what? To put yourself in the other person's shoes. Exactly. And it comes, really, is all attached to forgiveness. So charity, see, the Spirits, they never mention money here. Do you see money, giving money? Do you see that? No? So what are these? These are what? Huh?
Interactions.
They're how you interact with who? With other people. So when they talk about charity, when the Spirits, they were talking about charity, they're talking about the way we should interact with other people. So what is salvation? It means that if I'm good, if I'm a good person, okay, if I say yes all the time, yes, 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 if I'm a good person, then I'll be saved. What is being saved? I'm going to heaven? Is that it? Is that what they mean? Is that what they mean? I'm going to heaven? I'm being saved? Yes? It's a lot more than that, because we know it's not, we're not going to, okay, if I'm really good, I'm going to heaven. We know it's much more complex than that. Salvation means the path of evolution. So without knowing how to interact with other spirits, incarnated and discarnated, I am not going to be saved. What is being saved? Is I'm not going to, what? Evolve. I'm not going to find out who I am and who the Creator is. Because why we're finding out who, we're searching for God and we're searching for ourselves. What is that called? Evolution. So when we say things are good and things, what is bad and what is good? We all know we should be good, right? Everyone think, okay, we should be good. But what is being good? What is being a good person? Because a lot of people associate being good as saying yes all the time, don't we? If you're a good person, it's because I say yes. You ask me a favor, I say yes. Can I borrow $10,000? Yes. Right? No? Is that being good?
Why are you looking at me like that?
Forgot our conversation last night. You want $10,000? So, being good is not about saying yes. Being good is understanding what? What is being good? It's understanding that you are in the path of evolution. Everyone is in the path of evolution. And that we are in different what? In different stages. And being good is what? Interacting. I'll give you what I have learned. And you give, and I allow you to what? Give me back what you have. So being good is working constantly for what? The evolution, my connection with God, my connection with the other spirits, but not in a selfish, just way, not divided, but what? Together. There's nothing that is really good that is only good for me. Something to be really good, it has to be good for me, and it's going to be good for Marcelo. It's going to be good for Susana, for Rodrigo. We'll explain that a little more. So we grasp the salvation. See how what salvation is? Is about evolution. So without charity, without interacting, knowing how to interact, how to exchange love, exchange our little bits and pieces that we have accomplished through the different reincarnations, we cannot what? Evolve. And we start our spirits, the spirits, they tell us God created us what? Created us unaware, right? So just like babies, as we spirits, how we discover ourselves. So the baby, they discover themselves. How do they discover themselves? Interacting with the environment. So they find out, okay, I'm an individual. And then they start understanding that I am this individual. And then I can get, by interacting with other people, with the environment, I can get what? Something back. So that's how we learn first. Also as a spirits, we learn first that we're individuals, and then we can get stuff from the environments to meet our needs. So in the beginning, we are takers. So we want to take. That's a cute picture right there. But that is the path, and that's why we're social beings. And in the Spirit's book, question 766, the Spirits, they tell us God has made man for living in society. It is not without a purpose that God has given to man the faculty of speech and other faculties necessary to the life of relation. So we do not evolve by ourselves. So we cannot be on the top of the mountain by ourselves our whole lives and think that we are gonna what? Evolve. We need that break sometimes, right? But we need each other. We need each other. And we start developing all these different types of intelligence. And who started who discovered all of the different types of intelligence was Howard Gardner from Harvard, professor from Harvard in about 1984. We always think when you say intelligence, IQ, right? And Howard Gardner says, no, it's not only about IQ. There are so many facets to our beings. We have so much more. We're much more complex than that. And that's what we were talking about before, that each one of us, we have accomplished things. Okay, we have conquered a little bit. We have found a little bit of God inside of us. So we have the physical intelligence, how we move our bodies, and that's how we learn, you know, how to, the athletes, they have very what? Physical intelligence. Then we have the intellectual intelligence, that's the rational intelligence, the problem-solving part. And then the emotional intelligence. Now, with the emotional intelligence, so before everyone only taught intelligence, IQ, and then emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? And all this intelligence, which is all these parts of our beings, we need what? We need the interaction and other people to develop. And as we interact with people, when we make connections, we have two options. We can get scared, and when we get scared, we create what? Walls, or we can what? We can connect, and when we connect, we create bridges. So the more bridges we have, so the more connections I create, that's a heart-to-heart thing. What means heart-to-heart? It means that my heart is connected to your heart. Well, there's also some scientists that say that our hearts are connected. They have vibrations and they are really connected, but that's another story. We're not going to that one. But what is being connected is being what? Open to what you have to offer. I'm not scared of you. It's understanding that the other person has something to what? Teach me. There is something I can learn from you. There is something that you have been through and I haven't, but I can learn from what? From your experience. That is being open to other people, to other experiences. That is what? Creating bridges. So the more bridges you have, how are you in evolution? What is your chances of evolving fast? What do you think? Huh? It's higher. Now, if you're scared, if you think you're okay by yourself, you don't need anyone, you're scared, and you create what? Walls, what is going to happen to you? You're going to have a harder time. So, with the emotional intelligence, and Daniel Coleman, he developed this whole idea of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the intelligence that we develop by interacting and when you can access a situation. So, and it's about feelings. So you feel what other people, you get a feeling what other person is feeling, and then you know how to respond. So that is a person that is emotionally intelligent is a person that is able to read a room, for example. You get into a room, you look at the people, you can read people, and you know how to what? How to respond to that. And so now we have, and it is an awareness of our feelings, and sometimes we think, oh, this is common sense. We are all aware of our feelings. Are we really aware of our feelings? Do you stop when you're reacting to something? Because usually we react, right? We're not proactive, we react. When we are reacting, do you stop and thinking why you're feeling this, and what are you feeling, and how should you act in that situation, and what is the other person feeling? So we all need to work on that, developing our emotional intelligence. So, and then we have, okay, we know we have to develop our emotional, but you know, God, the Supreme Being, smart, very smart. He's like, I'm not going to leave it all up to them. I have to do something. And God did. So there is something in our brains that are called the mirror neurons. And V.S. Ramachandra, which is a neurologist, he's a psychoneurologist, he is developing this research. And he found that these neurons, we have neurons, he calls the empathy neurons. So that's how it works. If I poke my finger, okay, my cortex is going to fire, my cells, and I'm sorry, I'm not a neurologist, or if you want to help me here, or a psychologist, So I feel the pain, right? Something fires, and then I'll have some neurons, and something's gonna feel. In my brain, I'm gonna feel pain. And let's say if Marcelo is watching me being poked, not all neurons they were activated in my brain are gonna activate on his, but a subset of the same neurons that activated the agony, the feeling of pain, will activate also in his brain. So if I poke my finger here, the same part that is going to tell me that I'm feeling pain in my brain is going to tell you. Of course, you're not going to feel pain, but you will know what I'm feeling. That's why Dr. Ramachandra calls it the empathy neurons. So God made sure that when I'm going through something, you're going to at least empathize. What is empathizing? I know is knowing what the other is going through. So that is to avoid that we build walls, that we isolate. So it's impossible. If I look at you and if I have a healthy brain, I'm going to empathize with your pain. And that's why empathy is contagious. So, but we don't stop in empathy. Remember, we're evolving, right? We are evolving. So we have empathy, and then we go to what? To sympathy. And what is sympathy? Sympathy is when I know what you're going through, and I'm suffering with you. So if Haddad is crying, what do? Sympathize with him, and I'll cry with him. So I know what he's going through, and I sympathize, and I'm, kind of suffering and also sad. If he's sad, I'm sad. But we don't supposed to stop here. And Jesus taught us a lot about this. And what is that? What is it all about? Where we have to get to compassion. What is compassion? Compassion is the next step. Okay, I empathize. I know what you're going through. I sympathize. You're sad, I'm sad. But compassion is, I got to do something about this. It's not about just sitting and watch. And poor Haddad. Feel bad for him. Yeah, good luck, man. Is let me see what I can do for him. And not, and we got to be careful here. It's not a, give me your pain, Haddad. I'll carry your weight for you. It's not about this. It's exchange. What am I going to give to him? We were talking about this before. What am I going to give to him?
Your experience.
What I have to offer, the God inside of me that I have already found. I'm going to give it to him and help him. So compassion is feeling another person's suffering and is spontaneously desiring to help relieve that suffering. And then again, Sherry, sorry if I make a mistake. Something is not. This is my interpretation, okay? So please forgive me. So in our head, we have this voice that we can call the critic, and I didn't coin these terms. So we have the critic and the nurturer. So what is the critic? Who's the critic in our minds? Who's the critic? Give me example one. I know it's Sunday morning, but help me out here, people. What is the critic?
Reason?
Well, let's say if someone invites me to a party. Rodrigo invited me to a party, and I know I can't go, right? The critic is going to tell me, or I am sick, I don't want to go, or I can't go, or the critic is going to tell me, Priscila, you can't not be rude. You're a polite person. You are a good person. You cannot say what? No to Rodrigo. You gotta go, right? But then the nurturer is going to tell me, what are the nurturers going to say? Sherry.
You need to rest.
Oh, you need to rest. You need to take care of yourself.
Love yourself first.
Love yourself first. But then we have this battle, don't we, inside of our brains? Don't we, inside our minds? And who usually wins? Unfortunately, who? The critic, right? So when we're talking about charity, through compassion, this process is also about learning to step out of this cycle. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. You have a choice. We have a choice. We don't need to live in this battle. We can what? Step from this and what? And witness and see and watch what we're having, what kind of conversation we have in our minds. And when we step on the side, we are out of the ego. And the ego is not bad. The ego is good. We need the ego for our survival. The ego is what? It taps into our reptilian brain, which is like the ancient part of our brain for survival. We need the ego. But I mean, when we stop this battle and we step aside and we watch, we witness, that is how, when we do that, we go out of ourselves and we're watching the whole, and we start seeing the whole picture. And then we don't only see ourselves, we also see the what? The whole situation. We're seeing from what? Our higher self. That's our higher self. That is the best part of us. That is the part of us that is what? Connected to God. It's connected to what? To everyone. So every time we step out, and we have to learn to do this in the process of evolution, how to look at the whole picture. Not being scared to step away and watch, and also watch ourselves. And when we do that, when we step and we watch and we're not looking only what is good for me, and we can understand that what is good for me has to be also good to others, then that is what charity is all about. And it is possible. It is possible because we have all these barriers, all these walls that divide us from other people, that divide us from what situations, that divide us from being our best selves. And I brought you an example here with the Syrian war, unfortunate war, the civil war. Many of the Syrian hospitals, they were bombarded. And especially in the closer area to Israel, Syria, they're friends. Well, they border with Israel, and they're both enemy states. They're considered enemy states, one of each other. So a Syrian person cannot go to Israel. An Israeli cannot go to Syria. They're enemy states. You don't look at them. You don't talk to them. So during the war, this horrible war, civil war that is going on over there, they have no hospitals, and okay, by law, one Syrian person cannot talk to an Israeli cannot talk to a Syrian person. But then we have these people, they are what? In touch with their higher selves, they're acting with their higher selves. And what happens is the Syrian soldiers, they carry, or mainly militia, they carry the rebels, they carry all these injured children and older people, or even, they carry all these people to the border of Israel. They leave them there, and at night, the Israeli military goes by, pick them all up, and take them to Israeli hospitals. These people are taken care of. Many of them are, unfortunately, children. And then they are brought back to Syria, to their families, to their homes. So it is possible. It is possible to leave all this that we have, all those walls that we have built, and to act in a higher self. So imagine these experiences, how they are touching each other's lives and the connection they're making. So this is charity. When we connect, when we go, and when we overcome walls to connect. We understand we have higher purposes. I'm part of a bigger picture. It's not only about me, it's about a bigger picture. We have higher meanings. And it's about values. What are our values? Now I ask you, can you keep the door of your heart open without having to fix the other person? Because these doctors when these people came to the Israeli hospitals, they didn't go, well, you're a Muslim, right? This is really bad. You don't do this. Or it didn't happen. So Being charitable is not, okay, I'll help you under my conditions. Or, you know, I'm helping you, but what you're doing is totally wrong. When you're acting on your higher self, you do not judge. That's why, you know, Jesus, everyone was baffled because Jesus, he talked to who? He talked to prostitutes, to tax collectors, to thieves, to everyone. Because Jesus was not what? Judging, because he was acting on his higher self. Jesus was all higher self. So that is the thing. When we act in a higher self, we don't try to fix the other. We give what we have best, and we open to receive what the other has best. And what the other person is going to do with what you have given is what? Is their problem. Is their problem. So we got to think if we bargain, when we give someone something, do we expect? What do we expect? If you're expecting, you're not acting in your higher self. The problem with doing charity and not acting with your higher self, when you're doing it for other reasons, for ego reasons, you're going to feel burdened. You're going to feel heavy. Because if you're acting out of love, if you're in that vibration, it's natural. You don't expect anything because you have already gotten what you wanted. Because what you wanted was to help, was to exchange. But when you help someone, you're like, that person didn't even thank me. Sure, you're expecting the thank you. So you were not acting from your higher self. It wasn't with what? With love. It's good for the other person that got it, but it was not good for you. You know, if you do charity not from your higher self, it's good for who is receiving. But it's not good for you because it's a burden. So it's not a natural thing for you. And it's not okay when you're forcing yourself to be that person too, because that is a mask. And when masks falls, what happens? Yeah, no, depression and anxieties. So path of evolution here. So we have our body awareness, the math and verbal intelligence, then managing ourselves and our relationships. But the ultimate intelligence is what?
Spiritual conscience.
The spiritual conscience. The inner wisdom guided by compassion, equanimity. It's when one Austrian doctor, his name was Wolfsinger. And Wolfsinger, there are two parts of the brain, the primary and secondary, Freudian, and I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to go into that. But there's the emotional intelligence. Before science, they thought, there's emotional intelligence, and then the IQ. But they knew there was something else. And Wolfsinger, he found out that there's another part of our brain that connects them all. It just connects all. It's like a synchronimity. They make sense of all of this. If you're really emotionally smart and you have a high IQ, but you don't have a spiritual IQ, you don't know how to connect it all. So you don't know how to make sense of your life. That's why so many people, they go, I'm emotionally smart. I have a high IQ, but there's a void inside of me. There's something missing. This one thing missing is what? Is spiritual intelligence. And we live in a very spiritual dumb society because we are not what? Connected. We cannot make connection with these two alone. This is not our purpose. This is the higher purpose. This is the connection, is the reason these two exist. So IQ is what I think, EQ is what I feel, and SQ is what I am. So SQ is the ability, and this is not mine, this is Cindy Whittlesworth, the ability to behave with wisdom and compassion while maintaining inner and outer peace regardless the situation. A very tall order, I know that. But this is the goal. Is behave with wisdom Wisdom. What is behaving with wisdom? What is wisdom? Is applying what we have experienced and learned. And compassion, we have already talked about compassion. While maintaining inner and outer peace, because if you do not learn how to maintain inner peace, when you act out of wisdom and compassion, it's going to become heavy. You can be helping, fixing everything around you, but what is going to be, how you're going to be inside? You're not going to be okay. So everything outside is great because you're keeping everything together, but inside you're heavy, you're broken. So that's why it's important to learn how to maintain our inner peace. So first, just to recap, in our evolution, we start I and the rest. So it's me and the rest. Do I care about the rest? No, it's I and the rest. Then we go from I and you. Now we get attached to one person or two. And then we go to I and mine. Mine meaning the ones related to me. My friends, my family. I and mine. And then the next step of then when we achieve seeing the big picture is we, us. That is it doesn't mean that you lost your individuality. You just understood from your higher self that we are connected and nothing that is good for only me is good or only the other is good. It's a balance. So I just brought you the graphic of how it works and how we're developing all these intelligence and also how it is not only about human beings, it's how we understand also when we connect with nature. This interaction with nature is called ecological intelligence. How we understand we have responsibilities with our brothers, little brothers, these other conscious, they are also in evolution, there are the animals and also the plants and everything that is around us. That we understand that we are also responsible for all of this. So we are all connected, affecting each other every instant. So when we have a high SQ, we understand this. And we see, I don't see people, I see people. And I, of course, again, I respecting individualities, but I understand that we are all connected. And then when Jesus, he brought the message that when he said that, for I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, you invited me in. When Jesus said that, it's not, if I do this, I'm doing this for Jesus. Because a lot of people think of that. Well, if I help Susanna, I'm helping Jesus. That's not what Jesus meant. Jesus doesn't, it's not what what he meant was, we are connected. If you're keeping this in motion, if you're giving, you're receiving. And when you're doing good, and then you see now in society, a lot of people, especially in underdeveloped countries, and unfortunately we're seeing here in this country, the gap between different social classes. So this person, I'm not going to help with public education. I'm not going to help with other social programs. I don't care about social programs. I only care about me. I don't want to pay taxes. I don't want to contribute. What is going to happen? That person can be rich, but how is that person going to use their money? Can they go outside their homes if everyone else outside is not being taken care of, or at least a little okay? What is going to happen? Crime, right? If kids are not going to school, so we're going to wall ourselves in our homes. That it happens a lot, unfortunately, in Brazil, where people are walled in. But when we're talking about the connecting, and we have to connect and we have to unite and act as a group to evolve, and we need the group to evolve, we cannot also forget the power of individuality. And today we live in a society that we fight a lot for civil rights and individual rights, and we're worried about discrimination. But however, the individual in our society is feeling very powerless. And we have to remind everyone that the individual is very powerful. And there is something called the butterfly effect. I don't know if you have heard of it. The butterfly effect comes from the chaos theory. And where this term was coined, butterfly effect, that if a butterfly flaps its wings in Singapore, weeks later it might cause what? A hurricane here in Florida. So that's the power of individuals. So the sensitivity, dependency of initial conditions. So sometimes we forget that we are capable to make what? To make big changes, because we still have a Newtonian view of the world, that for a big change, I need what? A big movement. And it's not. Sometimes a small individual can impact a society what? In a large manner. For example, I just brought it here today. Who knows Malala? Who has not heard of this girl? Malala, if you're not aware, if you're out of the earth for a little couple weeks. So Malala, she's a Pakistani girl. And when she was 11, 12, she's from the Swat Valley, the city of Mongolia. That is a Taliban city. So the Taliban rules Mongolia in the Swat Valley in the northern province of Pakistan. And this girl, she fought for education because the Taliban didn't want girls to go to school. So she fought for education. She was an activist, and she used to write a blog for BBC under a pen name. She didn't have her whole name. And of course, they found out who she was. They went there. They made what? A big fuss. And the Taliban, what they did? They found out who she was. And the Taliban tried to kill her in October 9, 2012. She was riding her school bus back from school, going home. Taliban man, they got in the bus, shot her twice. One in the head, one in the neck. She was unconscious for weeks. Then they moved her when she was a little better, they moved her to England to a hospital, Queen Elizabeth Hospital, I think it is. Yeah, and they took care of her, and then she got better. And when she got better, she was not scared. And you would think, why? She wants to stop this. She's scared. No, she wasn't. She was not she did not let that experience to create what? A wall, right? She still had her bridge. And she's like, she was in touch with her higher self, with her higher purpose. And she wanted education for every woman, from every kid. And she did not stop fighting for it. And this one girl, now she's 16, one individual, she's one little girl from Pakistan. Now, now the UN envoy, global envoy, Gordon Brown, started a petition under her name. The whole movement is called I Am Malala. So go in online and look. It's very beautiful. I Am Malala. And his petition, he did a petition in name of Malala, for all the countries, the underdeveloped countries, to have all their children in school until 2015. This one individual, this is charity. What is she doing? She's giving, she's being herself, she's giving to the world the best that she has. She's fighting out of compassion. She's stepping into her higher self, and that's how she's acting. This is charity. And the big picture, the big move. And then you're all thinking, okay, but I don't have I have a hard time, tapping into my higher self, and I have a lot of flaws, and so imagine, and now to finish, imagine that you have a project, a very important project. Now I want you to pick some of these people here. I'm going to present you some people, some characters. You pick them. So you have one that is an awesome manager, involved, zealous, lacks enthusiasm, stingy, with compliments. And then you have a limited knowledge, impulsive, explosive temper, tender-hearted, doesn't encompass the grandiousness of the project. Then you have another one, strong and stable personality, ambitious, multifaceted vision. And you have a young, dynamic, vain, jolly, courteous, loyal. So these are all people whom I know. So these are the characters. Are you picking? Start picking. You're going to pick yours. Then you have a curious, shy, likes creativity, skeptical about the project claims. Then you have the other ones, honest, correct, courageous, provincialist, practical dreamer. Materialist, huge business network, low acceptance by clients, gives 100% effort. So I'm not helping you, right? I didn't pick great people for your project. You guys are feeling a little desperate already? So we have here, then too young, simple-minded, inexperienced, good-natured, cherished. Too young, the other individual lacks any academic or professional experience, simple, insecure. Then you have the other individual, zealous, careful, strong organization skills, inflammable, personality, impulsive. And then excellent businessman, very ambitious, egocentric, envious. So you have this important project and you have all these flawed people. Have you picked anyone? It's hard to pick. Not good for your group? No? For your project? Denied? Have we denied all of them? Yes? Yes? Guess who did not deny them? They were the 12 apostles. So, and the greatest revolutionary project in humanity, it was accomplished by all these flawed, what we call flawed. They're not really flawed. They're just in the path of evolution, giving what they have best. And then that's what he did. That's what he worked with all these flawed people. We are all flawed. Flawed meaning not that, remember, we are sons and daughters of God. So by that, we are already perfect because God doesn't make anything what? Imperfect. When the spirits, they say, you have to find perfection. When I say perfection, you got to find God outside and inside. That's what he's talking about, the path of evolution. So it's not because you're dirty or incomplete or you're not perfect. We are perfect. We are sons and daughters of God. God makes no mistakes. So when no one hears a mistake. When you say you have this difficulties too, you have not shined all your light inside, your inner light. So charity is about everyday actions. What do you do every day? It's how you deal with your own emotions, how you deal with the others. What do you give? What do you take back? Are you takers? Are you givers? You have a balance. And then to finish, just going to leave you with this. And Jesus said, this is how everyone will know that you are my disciples. If you have what? Love for one another. So that is the message. And I want you to all go home and think about it. Thank you so much.